music guide you. Just let the music guide you to the good place. Come along. Let the music guide you. Just let the music guide you to the even better place. Hey, come on, come on. Time to get up. Enough sleeping. Herr Wagner. Richard.
Maestro Wagner. And I'm not finished with my opera yet.
Lohengrin is and always was too long. Come on. Time to wake up to, time to get up to the next level. Come on. Herr Wagner. Time to wake up. Come on, Richard.
Oh.
Time to wake up.
Oh. Where am I? Where was I? Where am I? Why can't I feel my legs and the ground and all these sounds, strange sounds here? How long have I been
sleeping? Waiting in limbo? About 150 years, give or take. Or in musical terms, a century past ragtime, 35 years since rock, and 55 past disco. And 5 years since the fusion of everything into anything that soul-dead distributors and conditioned listeners erroneously call hip, cool, or new.
No, but in social terms and political terms, how long has it been?
About a century, 110 years past Custer for us. 2 world wars on your side of the pond for you. And another coming if we don't get something settled here now.
The porthole to heaven, Valhalla and Nirvana. The place of final merging with the infinite, which is beyond all definition and religion. The place where liberating heroes such as Brunhilde and Siegfried are appreciated rather than ignored, and lovers such as Tristan and Isolde can enjoy the love they were forbidden to have while mortals on earth. The place where what the hell? All right. Assuming that this isn't a dream concocted by some chemist who put something in my drink, working with a soul-dead music critic who thinks I should be put in an insane asylum because I dare to compose music that empowers rather than sedates. What the heck is going on? Wasn't it music bearing my name that brought consciousness of the truth, your truth, to so many people while they were alive? And wasn't and isn't it that music that brings them here, to this place, to you, at the time of dying?
Yes, for some.
Many.
For several.
Several million. Several million who, while on earth, were inspired to be more godlike, heavenly, and effective in the cause of the common good. And more alive, Big A. Do your calculations. Go on. Several millions.
Yes, you are accurate,
Yes, of course.
but not entirely right or justified.
Justified. Am I going to, hell?
To our people, there is no such thing as hell.
You mean no punishment for mistakes and miscalculations or transgressions? In a burning heap of fire, hosted by Taskmaster Lucifer, or that PMS wench who I almost hired to play the role of Venus in my last production of Tannhäuser. Or worse, my ex-wife Mina, who tried to sterilize everybody's soul to be just as non-committed to life, Big L's, as hers was. Ugh.
To our people, hell is having whatever you did in this life perverted or discredited or forgotten.
Which is the worst kind of punishment for someone like me. But what is heaven like for your people?
Something we don't think about while living or even at the time of transitioning, and that is to have your work survive you.
You, of course, knowing this, being the chosen people, chosen not by theology or biblical assignment, but by nature. You, the aboriginal, but advanced, chosen people who perhaps were derived from the lost tribes of Israel that somehow find their way to Americas 1,000 and stuff years ago.
And if we obey the Ten Commandments and the others that came down from Mount Sinai and the other mountains, we can continue our good works in a next lifetime. A mitzvah.
A mitzvah. Otherwise known outside of your chosen, small, and closed circles as a gift.
Or maybe sometimes to rediscover and continue it with a different consciousness and identity.
Something I never put into my operas. Reincarnation, a concept that was not believed by most of my audiences and certainly none of my patrons who,
Before we decide where you go or what you can do or become, there is one question that must be settled. One offense that people from many societies said you did.
Okay, my operas were too long. The Flying Dutchman was shorter, more intense, and had music that evoked more visual imagery than any production of Beethoven's Fidelio. And as for the Ring Cycle, it took and required 4 operas to tell the full story with subtext. And as for Parsifal, the more music I wrote, the more money I got from King Ludwig II of Bavaria. Yeah? Money which I did share with all of the musicians, all of the performers, and all of the stagehands, and
6 million of my people that died in the camps at the hands of your most dedicated and fanatical patron. Him, Adolf Hitler.
a disturbed and evil possessed soul. God help him.
Who started a war that nearly destroyed the world, killed 70 million people, orchestrated by your music.
What? When? Where?
1933 to 1945, everywhere.
Uh, According to your calculations, I was dead 50 years before this lunatic did whatever you said he did. But besides, what did I do?
According to the charges brought before you by many, you caused World War II and possibly World War I.
A summons to appear in the High Court of all courts for inciting world war. This is absurd.
This is history and being responsible for your actions, your suggestions, intentions.
I have a right to defend myself.
Well, thanks to Hitler and the Nazis finally being defeated, you can.
Who and what are these Nazis you're talking about?
You really don't know?
No, I don't. And where did these Nazis come from anyway?
Your head, your pen, your music, according to some anyway.
Culture in Nazi Germany? No, this couldn't be. This couldn't have happened. This could not have happened in Germany. No, it could not never have happened in Germany. It couldn't. It happened.
Come, follow me, gently, quietly, and hatless. I said quietly, gently, and hatless. Out of respect.
I know. For all the people who died at the hands of these Nazis. And I promise that the first thing I will do when reaching the other side of the veil, or whatever this is to demand satisfaction for my lost hat. And this bump on my head that is made even worse by that horseless carriages making very non-musical noise. Technological progress.
According to some.
And international progress? The American Republic adding more states to the Union, I see. Hopefully from North American and not European or South American regions. But, yes. The black, red, and gold. Symbol of a unified, enlightened, democratic, and strong Germany. A socialist workers' paradise which we envisioned in 1848 as a model for the rest of the world, which we fought for in Dresden on the barricades against the oppressive kings and capitalists, yes.
Which you supported with a pen rather than a sword, or the sweat of your brow, and certainly not the blood of any battle wound.
I did what I could with this, and was exiled to Switzerland for it, for
12 years, which we know already.
But did not appreciate it, just as my ex-wife Mina didn't appreciate it. She was more concerned with maintaining a safe, secure, and sedate home than in dedicating herself to liberating her homeland, like I did. Liberating it from lifelessness, boredom, oppression, poverty, injustice, and
13 more years of you having to be with her instead of other women, most of whom were married.
Shackled to lifeless husbands and purposeless, non-creative lives that were killing them and their children.
So, as your appointed attorney, I surmise that the defense of everything you did was based in your passion as a liberator.
Yes, liberation. Liberation of the body, mind, and spirit for women as well as for men, and as well for
those in between being men and women.
My deeds and accomplishments speak for themselves, as I can speak for myself. I do not need you as a lawyer.
Because you can pay for a better one, I suppose.
I can pay. I can pay for a better lawyer and perhaps even an enlightened judge. But where's the rest of my money? I was robbed when I was sleeping by the medicine wheel by someone who...
It was messenger angels. And to pay for all the expenses you ran up while you were here on Earth, we had to pay it off.
Revolutionizing music, the arts, society, and the world cost money, which I had to borrow from...
Jewish bankers with greedy hearts and small little minds. They charged me more interest than anyone else, yeah?
And others who appreciated what I did. Unlike the money-grubbing, lecherous, superficial, soul-sucking...
Kikes? Christ killers?
Some of my best friends and supporters were Jews. Smart Jews outgrow Judaism and assimilate.
And stupid ones that don't deserve to be robbed, tortured, and killed.
I did not support, advocate, or condone any of that. But you have to admit, Judaism is a defective religion. Yeah?
Unlike yours, I suppose, whatever that is, it's...
Spirituality, which is beyond all religion, which admittedly contains some elements of Christianity, Buddhism, and what some scholars would call mystical Judaism, which I put into all of my operas, music, and writings. Yes, enlightenment for open-minded souls, but as for closed-minded souls, for them I provided a special service. Me as a case study. I gave those academic peons and social engineers so many words, symbols, and notes that they could use to justify their own defective theories about themselves, the world, and me. A dirty job, but someone has to do it. Yes?
Just as someone has to do my job. To see that all your masterpieces are banned, discredited, forgotten forever. And some additional charges for being, well, not quite what a real man's supposed to be.
I have a right to know what I'm being charged with. Your honor, most sacred honor, above all, you who is above all, have to tell me...
As your first wife, who you walked out on, I don't have to tell you anything, Richard.
So, God is a woman now, Mina? Huh?
This has nothing to do with God, Richard, but you.
You mean us. You as a non-artist and me as an artist. Who has the right to be judged by a jury of his peers and not these soul-dead ghosts whose presence I can feel but not see.
Impossible, since you always believed yourself to be above all other artists and people.
Mina, if you're given special gifts, insights, and abilities, you are obliged to use them.
But not abuse them, which you did.
The facts are, that I am a special case.
Who said you were special, anyway? Venus, from the underworld. Elizabeth, from heaven. Centa, whose heart belongs more to the Flying Dutchman than to you. Brunhilde, the shield maiden from Valhalla, who with loud and ear-piercing voice
Put the most heavenly music ever put on stage. Empowering, truthful, revealing and expressing a truth which is beyond duality, even the duality of good and evil.
That I never understood, nor wanted to, nor were required to, so that we could eat instead of waiting for you to come home from overtime rehearsals, or from Cosmina, when she was still married. The one who you wrote this for as a Christmas present.
Siegfried's Rhine journey. A trip that he took from the place of his boyhood training in the woods to become a hero, who found and awakened a sleeping Brunhilde and the hopes for humanity. A journey of the collective musical soul, which then and now is about
13 minutes, way too long. Gentle. Maestro Richard. We have a guilty version to prove with a fair trial.
Of course. But in the meantime, Flight of the Valkyrie.
No! And no more of your diminished vibrato chords or other demonic musical tricks, which science now says shuts off the faculty of reason and correct assessment of real-world reality.
But which inspired
Brain-dead, brainwashed kids to go join the gun-toting, gun-loving Marines help decimate third-world villages. After seeing the helicopters in Apocalypse Now that blew up the villages of a lesser race, Vietnamese civilians, as two Americans surfed the curl with their surfboards. As Robert Duvall said, I love the smell of the napalm in the morning. It smells like victory.
And in that scene in Apocalypse Now, which we all know, of course, the intent was to discourage anyone from participating in and even allowing anyone else to massacre anybody. Correct?
Right.
And let us not forget the use of the flight of the WWII in Birth of a Nation 1915 that glorified the annihilation of the inferior black races of America and which led in Germany to the rise of the Nazis.
Again with the Nazis, who I did not know or advocate or...
A line about Wagner's music from another contemporary movie which we all liked and admired, Annie Hall.
Movie? What's a movie?
A play you put on a flat screen. Your Honor, this new claim by the prosecution is inadmissible and wrong.
I quote directly. Woody Allen went with his girlfriend in the record store, Diane Keaton. Wagner's music. It makes you want to invade Poland.
Someone who you could have learned a lot about comedy from, Richard.
I wrote a comic opera once, The Meistersinger, which featured Hansans, a character you all know, of course, right? And a contest between colorful, eccentric, and comedic singers who...
Never sung a single note that made anyone laugh. At least not in this century, anyway. Not unless they were
stoned on Viking mead or King Arthur's Parsifal Brewery's ale, man.
You found Meistersinger interesting? And,
Well, Yeah, sorta, man, but in its own special way, it was also just totally just so
Intense.
Intense, yes.
Whatever.
Intensity is my life. And when expressed artistically against self-imposed or societally inflicted walls, it is life. Beethoven was intense.
Yes, but intensity is, well, a criminal offense in this century. And it's so... what's the word I'm looking for?
jarring, man.
Disruptive.
Yes, and something that disables people to be simply... happy.
You mean, happily simplistic, boring, lifeless, and sterile. I gave all of you everything I had, but what did you do with it?
What I wanted to and could, Master Maestro. Let me introduce to you your daughter, Winifred, born in England, who married your, some would say, effeminate son, Siegfried.
Sensitive boy and man, and no doubt loving husband, daughter-in-law.
She visited me most every day when I was in jail writing Mein Kampf.
After he had seen and was inspired by your opera, Lohengrin, 37 times.
Who obviously never really listened to the music, nor understood the life-promoting and kindness-conferring libretto. Daughter-in-law!
You underestimate yourself and your effect on history, Herr Master Maestro. I bow to you in gratitude and humility.
Now, you're supposed to do this to him. See, pile!
This gesture that Buddhists many times do in trying to reach and connect to the light, love, and light of the heavens. And done by knights of old, such as Lienzi and Lohengrin, when they're trying to dedicate themselves to the cause of right over might. Yes. Which does not belong to this capitalist fascist or his henchmen, and does not speak for their cause. Winifred, what are you doing with this empty-headed, small-minded, and no doubt small-balled idiot?
But you were my inspiration back in 1933.
And you're an albatross to me now, a burden of the worst kind. And whatever this is, Winifred, after all these years of schooling, training, and love from your husband, my son, Siegfried, you affiliate yourself with this imitating, tyrannical idiot, lunatic who, yes, even steals this symbol of universal compassion, spiritual bliss, and wisdom that belonged to the ancient sages of India, which he wants to make his own.
Remember Adolf, me aging father.
Father-in-law.
Father-in-law. He is old now, a little bit off in the head. Remember, Adolf, the last time you got angry? You invaded Poland, then Russia, then...
Got your ass kicked all the way back to Berlin, to your own Twilight of the Errant Gods. During which time you killed 6 million of my people.
And 10 times that number of mine alone.
But I heard that Adolf was a vegetarian, man, and an animal lover.
Who apparently killed his own beloved and loving dogs when the Russians invaded Berlin and liberated it, so no one else could have them or love them. Isn't that true, Adolf?
Yes, I did that. I did that and more.
I'm bad, bad, bad! Hey, come on, fascist lunatic vegan dude. Time to check you in with some real nice talks at the Valkyrie Hotel and Spa with Uncle Wotan, Cousin Loki, and Nurse Brunhilde. A happy place, yes?
Oh, Winifred. Did your husband, my son, know about this? And did he know about the love affair that you had with Adolf Hitler for 6 years while you were still married to...
A man who was half woman, who I protected from being found out and appropriately prosecuted, who wasn't worthy of inheriting the family name, the business, or rights to your magnificent music. Who
died? Coincidentally, as I read, the same year that my last and legal wife and co-heir died by coincidence?
A fortunate event for the master race.
The master race, which is everybody, Your Honor. As for my daughter-in-law's boyfriend, he confesses his sins at the time of dying, goes to a happy place, yeah?
He converted, according to some, to being Catholic. In exchange for apologizing for rain when alive, Catholics get to heaven, as long as they confess all of their sins in the last aria of the life opera. You, however, you're not Catholic. You're...
different than all of you. Promethean. Promethean, of course, being the god, Greek god who defied Zeus, the head god, and in the service of humanity, gave humanity the ability to write, read, create fire, and to use all of them for the common good. A noble deed for which he was rewarded by having crows eat away of his liver by day and it growing back by night. And Brunhilde, yes, who was born a goddess and who defied her good heavenly father, Wotan, to liberate and empower humanity. And for that deed, she was put in a painful slumber atop of a high mountain surrounded by an impenetrable ring of fire. But as we all know, no liberating deed goes uncrucifiable, huh?
And no blasphemous thought or deed goes unpunished.
Of course.
So, until this court reconvenes tomorrow...
Your logical and linear mind needs time to assimilate and process what I said with my mouth here. And my music. Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
No! Holding cell 12. Bailiff, escort the liberator to his cell.
I know what really happened, man, since, like, he,
died of a heart attack because,
We all know your heart was too big for this lifetime, because it was expressive and vulnerable. Take him away, dramatically, of course, since for him, real life is merely an illusion.
And for now, Your Honor?
We go home, we have a comfortable meal, we do not discuss the case with friends, family, lovers, or him. And we come back tomorrow morning with clear, logic-driven minds so we can better serve Lady Justice.
By being intimidating judges and manipulative lawyers?
Yes.
Yeah. Heaven watches and earth works.
No, this is toxic enough. Beethoven's Fifth performed as disco music for people to dance to, but not to think with or be inspired by. So, what did they or you do to my music?
And the next icon, Doc.
Icon? Yeah, I press.
The rabbit, kill the rabbit. You can catch me.
Sorry.
You can catch me.
No, it's not bad. It has an interesting edge to it.
You can
Who are these
catch
characters?
me. Kill the rabbit. Kill the
Bugs
rabbit.
Bunny and Elmer Fudd, man. A recent remake, man. Marvin Martian and Bugs. Bugs is a Viking chick who looks...
You are the only one.
Bugs is a Viking chick who looks very...
You open.
Ridiculous in that Viking helmet with horns on it, like you do.
Vikings wore helmets with horns, man.
Who said so?
You, man. Life imitates art, and imagination creates reality. You said that.
Just because someone listened to one of my promoters when they put horns on Viking helmets, on mythical characters in Bayreuth in the 19th century, that means that Vikings put horns on their helmets in the 9th century?
Yeah, man. Sort of like a retro time warp.
Yeah, what time warp did you fall out of, or are still flying in?
The one where nobody notices me, nobody listens to me, and nobody believes me when I say anything that's the truth. You know?
I do know, but we have to be who and what we are, even if it is inappropriate.
Thank you, man. You really do have a kind, loving heart.
A functional one, like those dogs that you have in the other pen in there.
One that couldn't have done what's in here, man.
Being Wagner, written by someone who wasn't me and apparently didn't know me.
Someone who says that the creepy, icky, deceitfully vicious mime in the Ring opera is a stereotypic Jew?
One man's misinterpretation of a character who represents the universal capitalist who oppresses both workers and artists alike.
And that the petty, overbearing Mayor Beckmesser and Der Meistersinger is a clearly slanderous representation of autocratic Jewish bankers and industrialists?
That character is an untalented, unimaginative gatekeeper who puts idiots and scoundrels in positions of power and influence and keeps dedicated, expressive, and intelligent people out.
Jewish people are incapable of artistic expression either in his outer appearance, his writing, his music, and least of all through his singing.
Which I did write, and which was true of most of the practicing Jews that I did meet in 1840 in Paris when I was first starting out, who spit on me. Who spit on me because I was non-refined, non-French, and of course non-Jewish. Where they would never allow me into their inner circles. Just as they kept other expressive, dedicated, and intelligent German artists out of their inner circles of, as they called it, innovative Jewish artist who, on a good day, could maybe imitate art, but could never, never really create it.
And maybe did a better job at imitating art than you did while doing it, man. You know, kind of like Bob Dylan coming out with all these really great lyrics, man, but nobody really hearing them until they came out of a mouth that could sing on key and please the audiences.
And audiences that do not deserve to have their minds entertained and their souls sedated by refined, easy-listening imitators.
I'm with you there, man. Jewish chicks that I knew partied with us rowdy Gentiles, but always married one of their own. And told their kids that they were the chosen people and deserved all the special perks today because their ancestors got buggered around in the past.
Ancestors like me, whose father was, I found out later, between us, was a Jew.
Who abandoned you?
Yes, this Jewish issue is complicated.
Complicated. Like your case is, man. Too complicated for me to give you any advice, except to say...
Good luck, break a leg, bon chance.
Be who and what you are, even if it's inappropriately.
Using my own words against me, a trick done by all of my enemies and some of my supporters and friends.
None of whom are waiting for you today, or us, in courtroom, which is reconvening now.
Will he be there?
No, not today. He's
rooting for you from below. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Right, mazel tov, all I need. Mazel tov.
So Herr Maestro Wagner, who was and is responsible for the death of 20 million of my fellow Soviet comrades, 50 million more worldwide, and 6 million more of the defense attorney's fellow Jews.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled. Continue. But get to the point. We can't waste the court's time on the obvious.
The prosecution seeks to add an additional charge of German nationalism,
which in 1848 was about uniting a fragmented German people into a democratic republic, which provided freedom for all to achieve their full potential and acquired destiny. Yeah?
Except for those who aren't German.
Real Germans value all real cultures, yeah? Such as the very real culture of the North American Indian.
Yes.
Which was immortalized by German novelist Karl May, yeah?
Who Hitler admired and liked? Is that not correct?
Acknowledged. Adolf Hitler liked and admired the writings of Karl May in his lifetime. But in my lifetime, German freethinkers like myself who had to flee their beloved homeland in 1848 after losing the People's Revolutions there, when they got to America, the first thing they did was to make peace treaties with the Indians. The only peace treaties that were ever kept. Yes?
Yes.
Whatever.
And an artist is not responsible for misinterpretations of his or her work in his or her lifetime. Correct?
Yes.
And a revolutionary artist what he does in private to be a better service to the public. This does not matter. Yes?
Yes?
But not in this case. Do not hide the fact that Beethoven, in his obsessive desire to have a son, made life hell for his involuntary adopted nephew, Caspar.
That boy was sick in the head before he even met his Uncle Ludwig.
And Socrates' sons, who disowned him for being more concerned with educating the world than taking care of them at home.
Because Socrates' wife was a stupid, lecherous, stupid bitch who wanted Socrates to spend all of his time during the day working as a stonemason, earning a respectable wage, and all night spreading mindless, money-making philosophical lies instead of hard, honest truth that could liberate and empower humanity. So, of course, she could wear the latest finery and show them off at the cheese and olive coffee clutches in Athens, huh?
And Albert Einstein, who gave his wife no credit on the theories they both worked so hard together on, and who had a son who was schizophrenic and another who disowned his humanitarian-serving father.
Albert, who was this Albert Einstein?
A relativity-relevant question, maestro.
What is this joke? What is this joke? Am I the joke? You are the joke.
The prosecution wishes and must bring in another witness, who maybe you, maestro, may recognize. King Ludwig II of
Bavaria. Ich bin so schnell wie möglich gekommen. Du kannst wieder gehen, wenn du willst.
Nein. Also.
King Ludwig, is it true that you funded most of Wagner's operas?
Because you love the music?
or him.
Es war die ganze Packung. Ich liebte und immer noch die Musik und den Mann. Und liebt und immer noch liebt mich genauso wie. Noch etwas?
Yes, you can go. But not you, Richard. There is still another woman who you have had history with, other than me and Cosmina and...
Will you state your name, please?
Judas Gautier.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, so help me God. And spirits, beyond any false image, we may delude ourselves into thinking is God. That means yes.
And who you were? To her, Wagner.
I was his lover for a magical time back in the summer of 1876.
While he was married to his second wife, Cosmina, who he...
Married legally.
And did she know about the other woman in your life? The one inside yourself?
who I couldn't, who I couldn't have you meet because
Because you were ashamed and embarrassed? You should be thankful for me not blackmailing you for it. Although I am adding it to the list of charges that God will punish you for doing. A perversion. A crime that...
No, I can't. I can't.
But look, you have come so far. I mean, look, you shaved your sideburns off and they did not bleed.
But I feel naked.
Afraid of what? Of being a whole rather than a half person? Didn't you not say being naked to the world is how you want to represent yourself?
Yes, I did.
If you do this and continue doing this, I will not go away. I fell in love with the man that who faces his fears, his adventures.
Yes, explorations that lead to
a better place that you are now. Trust me. Trust yourself. Trust life.
crime that
was a biological and creative necessity. I had to put on those non-masculine clothings and create while in them, with the help and confidentiality of special souls such as Judith, so I could experience what it's like to be a woman. Well, I'm merely a man. God help me.
Great Spirit, praise you for acknowledging you are a person of two spirits, a healer of the collective human soul, who, like our own shaman, were required to live at the time as a woman in order to become effective understanders and healers.
But what if history finds this out about me?
The world will have more channels of humanity beyond gender, spirits beyond religion, that transcends all barriers, restrictions, and limitations on expression of love. Pretend that means something, because it does, right?
Why, totally, man! Yes!
Right? Yes.
Right. Right. And all of you ghosts, principalities, and fans who always needed to know more about your beloved idol or hated villain, your services are no longer required.
Lohengrin performed with more intensity, heart, and intelligence than I've ever heard it. I'll put on the page.
The way it is for us channelers who are not supposed to know who or what we are or are doing.
Now, seeing that you are head god and goddess, what happens now?
Well, I'm not really supposed to do this, but in the meantime, from one Promethean to another, your next lifetime assignment.
Oh, and to be a gifted, talented, and prolific writer-composer, whose works
won't really be recognized until after death. Like Bach, Van Gogh, and countless others, all because she's blacklisted by the gatekeepers, who are Jews and others.
So, I get the burden, challenge, an opportunity to be a she.
Sort of a fringe benefit that I snuck into the arrangement, which starts in 3 more measures.